Apa nti no oye MP owo Elembele district ahade another Elembele constituency ahade no wa face no bo Emmanuel Kofi Amaboa wa face no bo de Odru Nkrumah ne birthday biara obeye celebration sonko exam no nti no 1 week na wo dey si hono ma was bebezi the mujuma no na mama nke odenye makote ina mo wa hade Minyunia Lord Teria and Wahade na Zotingi de Meshira Ebehunde Wacho or Sergeant for Dr. Kwame Nkrumah Mausoleum and to know originally no in 1972 no aha and now we know was the Nimuno Ebebe Shem you can say Imuni Hade Bium was the Imuno core and now so no baby Amijide a very emotional place a lot of history actually Osaje for na shase hade na okodo wo chere nsubi da hade ya history bi wo ho damara na baby a wo no bebe na ebusuafo tena na bibia no hade na yebenya no nti no and very very interesting pa wo amamre do Lord Brave na mama wa kwaba na wo na mama kwaba
I know them mama kwaba sound the introduction.
It's in the Lord your Western region correspondent Zamba here no Nkrumah hade is ahanya no yira kono kwa na de hade na ozina agor wo nti no in the Kwame Nkrumah fest no wo shoma Kwame Nkrumah ne favorite color ya pink nti ehu de shesha pinka na sechere nyina ranyen Lord Kabibi kakafa chere one day jumeza wo babokodo wa hade na Kwame Nkrumah baby yegine no boma oso mo Kwame Nkrumah na abrabo
Then my yenim no afibia oye the member of parliament or Elembele Emmanuel Frimpong or this new the day obabo mo de na Kwame Nkrumah ejuma pa obeye megano wahwe na wahye ne nyam tembia okana asame de oye the second Kwame Nkrumah we nyakopa we na ma enzmafo sente okadam do say owa abuchi no Kwame Nkrumah so ne de ombre fie na ombeboa nti onfa Kwame Nkrumah no nsem ondi agokwa nti dwumedi de wa akodo more than 10 years every year oye na fidi de obeye sonko kra ehwe sese na da oda toto apoma ehwe renovation works wahwe wotuma ya museum ho na oye ni kankasa nti no afide Nkrumah first no awatu di journey to nkrofo no obeye ni kapa
okay into no to say wobi kan to say wobi share journey to the west and our journey to nkrofo and yaba no yaba yabo share Kwame Nkrumah na chi nti no Lord me yewuro mu na wo hu nti no say ehwa Kwame Nkrumah mausoleum no and yewuro mu no say edru hade ya wacho Sergeant for Dr. Kwame Nkrumah mausoleum Nkrofo renovated and commissioned by Honorable Emmanuel Kofi Amaboa ono no ye MP wo Elembele ahade nti no Friday 19th September 2025 ina washema renovations na zo sada waye o wahade nyina no waye ye room na yakom yakohwe oye beautiful edifice osi hade edu hade nsu no zika no welcome I felt
Papa last week Saturday me opportunity me ba abrana warrior renovation works no ehwe an wana way adwuma no wa gbo adwuma nkansa because last week Saturday na no ogudu wo hye ha ehwe dem yeme na last week Saturday na no ogudu enti just be 3 4 5 days at wotum na wa ye dem adwuma na chere wotum na wa gbo adwuma nkansa oda yetum na yebo MP na ne dom hona abado
Inti no Nwasamaranye na ye Romo no na Kwame Nkrumah no owo Ghana. Inti no there's no way able Roma ye hu the Ghana flag no we see to know ehu flag no na as no wife papa red, gold and green we see fe is the atu honom na yes and you who walls no who na painting na owo ho we paint Kwame Nkrumah ato do damara na wa church onye maybe in as wodo mo pede ye bo hwe de nya Lord into no ya you know ye Kwame Nkrumah ne famous quote papa I say the independence if the independent African states cannot come together peacefully into a union, then armed force must be used to achieve our socialist revolutionary objectives. It must be directed against those states and elites which still resist the progress of the African revolution. Lord, there will be
actually writings over here now Nkrumah famous quote another statements are making na awana wotuna renovate and wa hwana wotuna wa church wo da abo eba no a dem obeya additional so the tourists wo beba no obe reflect in their mind wo hu nsama oye Kwame Nkrumah okay
Inti no Kwame Nkrumah ze onya nyimpa biara keke obi a otum obo hen ma yeje fa huzi na oyo obi a na dwum de hoye papa oka nsam bebre a menye worka say ye hwe ba ho a o ha de ni nyinara na wa chocho is the egu ha de for centuries Europeans dominated the African continent. Inti no na ehwa the munse bi nyina no oyen some okeke during time ano orboa akun amagana agene fa hunzi into no most of them they who there or the Europeans now we busy here no do no who come na azem bro ba ya yan kasa able to mentally ya free na ya tum na ya nye Europeans na akun na ya je fa hunzi na Kwame Nkrumah osum here mbo papa
dem papa ehwa Kwame Nkrumah wotum na wayi African man of the millennium na so Kwame Nkrumah no onsombo ma Ghana nkwete onsombo ma West Africa but onsombo ma ewiade hina so the African hina akwa part of Europe mpo we colonizing and now kofodu na what Kwame Nkrumah di kofodu na so na we believe in the ideologies and the Kwame Nkrumah ni nyembe oye nto onsombo ma Ghana nkwete ba onsombo ma ewiade hina
no ho asamara nyen nti no di nkra symbols na ze oye krom hade oya chances obi na za ni nyinara owo asechre akonfona na azi ni nyinara no na wadodro ni nyinara kama we paint no wo no ho na Kwame Nkrumah azi ye fe papa nyipo be na majume
menka one secret bro obi oya artworks na last week na ye ni MP ba no say or identify boy no the boy no talent or sense make cross be no ye the obefa na wa boy into no hwehwe no school am we university into also edwuma de sane nse dey bibia no offer artwork one on MP no obehia no ode obe na obeye ode to nickel and also obeye for mboa ode abo no into obi a MP no sponsor no ma otum na okọ university wi no ono ye dem artworks ye we hina.
Wow, no nsa na edwuma nso EFL papa za no so botum wa ye oza aboa omanga.
Thank you so much, Mame Boatema, for giving us updates, stuff happening at Nkrumah. Well, I must say, the weekend at Nkrumah was really one to behold, a sight to behold, especially when we have to celebrate a man such as Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Well, that's all we're doing today right here on Prime Morning, but it's time for News Flash. Please stay with us.
News Flash is brought to you by Franco Trading Enterprise. Steel, fun papa fie.
Thank you so much for staying with us. You're watching Prime Morning on Joy Prime. And let me remind you that we're streaming on all social media platforms. And this is a News Flash segment. I am Michelle Ajekum. And just as we keep saying, we're celebrating Kwame Nkrumah. And of course, for modern day Gen Zs, the youth as a whole, and a lot of us see the statue of Kwame Nkrumah, and that's all we know. Or better still, the popular speech that, we picture him declaring Ghana's independence. That's all we know. But today we're going to delve deeper. Who exactly was Kwame Nkrumah? What did he stand for? And what was his legacy? And in fact, why does all his ideas, or why do all those ideas that he had still matter to us in current day Ghana? And to help me with this discussion, to help us understand or have a better view of who Kwame Nkrumah, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was, ladies and gentlemen, I have Emmanuel Frimpong, who is president for African Tourism Research Network. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Michelle.
And thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Right, so just like I was saying, when you speak of Kwame Nkrumah, anytime we hear the name, for a lot of us young people, we only see a picture of him where he stands just behind a podium and says, Ghana, your beloved country, is free forever. But who exactly was Kwame Nkrumah?
Well, good morning to you and your cherished viewers and listeners as well. And I like the way you put it when you were doing the introduction for the Gen Zs. Who is Kwame Nkrumah to them? Unfortunately, we haven't celebrated him enough as far as the young people are concerned. And even the older ones, there's still a debate as to what Kwame Nkrumah really stood for and what he did. Because to some people, he became an authoritarian who wanted everything for himself. To others, he was a man of the moment, a man that we still celebrate.
Right.
So for young people, for me, Kwame Nkrumah stands for everything that Africa stands for. I say this in the sense that Kwame Nkrumah wanted an Africa for other nationals to see, I mean, Europe to see that the African can do anything that anybody anywhere can do. So for the Gen Zs, we have to begin to see ourselves as Kwame Nkrumah saw us. If you look at the age at which he traveled to the US, all that he did within that period, and the coming back, his age is not too far from the age of most of us.
Yeah.
Therefore, if such a man can have a vision of developing a continent, not just a country, if you look at Kwame Nkrumah, he was thinking beyond just Ghana. He was thinking about Africa coming together. That is why he was voted the Millennium Man. For us, he is everything. And for us, well, I'm not really a Gen Z, but for the young ones, we have to begin to see ourselves that there's nothing that we cannot do because we are fortunate to have a man, Kwame Nkrumah, who came from Ghana. Therefore, we have every reason to dream and dream big. Whatever we are doing, wherever we find ourselves, the vision, the legacy of Kwame Nkrumah should inspire us to be able to do more.
Right, now talking about his vision, some critics say that his vision was very heavy. It was so big that it drained the resources on Ghana. How true is that?
I don't think that is true. You see, for every man, for every woman, you have been given a vision and a resource and the ability to do that. I think the challenge that Kwame Nkrumah had was he was way ahead of his time. He was far ahead of his colleagues. So what he saw in 50 years, in 100 years, a lot of people could not perceive. So you would think that he was overambitious. No. And I don't think he assumed that he could achieve everything that he dreamed of within his lifetime.
Okay.
But he was too radical, too faster than the people around him. Therefore, they thought, hey, pause, let's take our time to do what you want us to do. So I think that is the challenge. But he for me, it was not over-ambitious. He was not over-ambitious. What he thought he wanted to do was possible, but it was not within the framework of his lifetime that he was thinking. He was thinking beyond what he could live for. If you look at the motorway, I mean, we'll get to the things that he did. If you look at how he structured everything for Ghana, he was thinking way beyond himself.
Right, now talking about how overambitious he was, let's look at his childhood. Then we can now come back slowly and build up to his achievements. Now, what would you say, if you can, give us a clearer picture of what his childhood was like in Nkrumah? How did he grow up? Was that the reason he had that, you know, the attitude of, we can do it, let's go, let's do this?
Well, I don't think the attitude that he had probably had anything to do with where he grew up or where he was born. You see, for every human being, when you come into the world, you come with a purpose.
Yeah.
So irrespective of where you are, that purpose will come to pass if you begin to fashion that. So you always have that consciousness within yourself. So wherever you are, it builds you up, and then as you grow, you begin to identify with people, with ideas, with society, with things that will shape in your vision. That is why it's so important that we don't look down on any child. We give every child that opportunity. So when we saw Kwame Nkrumah more, if you read about him, we saw him more when he traveled outside.
Yeah.
And he began to read about people who were thinking about the Black liberation. He got in touch with them. He read about them. He opened up. He associated himself with such individuals. And then it fashioned his thinking. He became so critical about what has to be done as far as the Black person is concerned. So for me, yes, where he was born had some level of formation as he went through, but when he traveled and he opened up to accept and appreciate what others were doing and begin to align with them, then he realized that, hey, it is not just happening in the US, in the Western world. Africa what we see here is also happening because don't forget, by then, we were colonized. People were actually ruling over us. So it was almost like what was happening in the US. We lived in our own country. We didn't have the right to do anything. Therefore, there was a need for me to begin to appreciate what is going on there and bring it back to my own country.
Right. Now, just like you said, if you have read about Nkrumah, you'd usually hear or you'd usually see where he came down from abroad and decided, I'm coming to help my country get its independence. I'm coming to help us, get the developments that we need. Now, let's look at, while he came back, let's just reflect on the journey after he returned, stopped everything he was doing abroad and says, look, guys, I'm back to Gold Coast. Let's do A, B, and C. For us, again, as the youth, the Gen Zs and Gen Alphas, who probably do not really understand how the struggle went through, can you take us through the process? When he came down, what happened?
Well, so before we came in, one of your colleagues was talking about why did he have to leave everything and come. And for me, purpose, vision is more stronger than anything that as a person you want to do in life. So one, he saw an opportunity that everything that I've learned, I could only do it better or achieve it if I come to my own country where we are also struggling. So by then, we read that he came by boat, or ship, and you could see that probably it took weeks for him to get here. So having been on the sea for these weeks is a challenge in itself, but he didn't think about himself. He came. And when he came, we were under the rule of the British. So, yes, he had to join UGCC and then go through the challenges of what they were going through. Remember, he was brought to come and help. And people were already here who were doing something. So when you come, so you have gone to Abuchi, you have traveled outside, so you think you can do it, then you are coming to do it. And when he came, he said self-governance now. He wanted everything to happen now, and people were not ready. So there were oppositions. I don't want to delve deep into that because...
let's delve deep. I mean, it's all about Nkrumah. So when we're able to appreciate the struggle properly.
So there were several oppositions within the party that he had joined, to the extent that he had to leave and go and set up
the CPP,
the CPP, his own party. And we also read about how there were several attempts to even take his life. So he had to go through a lot of things for us to see what we are seeing now. So Nkrumah, for me, emotionally, I think he was really strong because a lot of people would have given up. You have the British against you. You have the international community against you, your own people against you, your own party members, even some CPP members were thinking, you are going too fast. Take your time. Let's relax. And then within your own people close to you, we've seen people who took over from him when he was leaving the scene. They were still with him. So within his own inner circle, there were people who were even against him. And he didn't know it. Some of them he knew. People warned him, don't go. But he said, no, I have to go. So Nkrumah had to go through a lot. He had to go through a lot to get us where we are. And for me, as young people, as a nation, we have to sit back and look at what are we sacrificing, because he sacrificed everything, his life, his children, his family, his job, everything for us. What are we sacrificing for the country?
Mr. Frimpong, so just as you're saying, his people were against him, the British against him. I mean, these are some of the things we face. Well, as young people, in fact, when you start working for the very first time, you're coming in, the system is not what you thought it is. And then, in fact, that is actually why a lot of young people decide that, okay, after school, I want to do my own business, because they do not want to go through all of these things. So from what you're saying, I think that Kwame Nkrumah's demeanor, his posture, his attitude at that point is something that young people like us can emulate. Right. Now, apart from that, now let's come down to when he set up his own, political party, how the journey started for him. How was he able to build it from that time? Well,
so if you remember, when he set up the CPP, of course, there were oppositions.
Yeah.
He was put in prison because people thought, or the British thought, he was leading a gang to get them out. So he was sentenced. But by divine intervention, even when he was in the prison, election was done, and then he became prime minister.
Yeah.
When he came out, that was when he was emboldened, because he realized, look, the people like me, the people want what I'm doing, therefore I need to push for what is supposed to be done as a country. So he went through that period. When he became the prime minister, there was a need for him to also sit down with the British to have a roadmap as to when we become a republic, because when you become independent, it doesn't end there. There has to be a process for you to become a republic. That was the moment that people, his own inner circle people, realized that, hey, what this guy is doing is going far. If we don't start doing something, then he will eventually become the man that he had always dreamed to become, as having a power over control over becoming autocratic and that sort of thing. So Nkrumah lived in such a way that we can emulate what he did. Not necessarily all of us becoming leaders, politicians, but if you look at your small area, then what you are doing now, what impact can you do as a journalist? What impact can I make as a tourism consultant? What impact can I make as a photographer? So everything that you are doing, you must look at the bigger picture, that it is connected to the general economy of Ghana. Therefore, as a young person, as a youth, as a Gen Z, wherever location you are, don't just think about going outside because you think that things are difficult here. You can also create an avenue for yourself within the continent, within the country, within the space where you find yourself, that you are connected to the general economy of Ghana. Therefore, you must make sure that you impact that area. This person also impact in that area. Whoever is also sweeping is also impacting that area.
Okay.
Then we get a better country for all of us.
Right, so now let's look at the vision Kwame Nkrumah had for Ghana. How different was it from the colonial rule? I'm asking that because when you go to some of the countries that gained independence later, a good example is South Africa.
Right.
I mean, they were under the colony for a very long time. And you see the development that they had comparing to what we had. What is the difference from Nkrumah's vision for Ghana and that of the colonial rule?
Well, the difference is that we didn't allow Nkrumah to finish his vision.
So it's the Ghanaian people.
Well, now it is on record that it was not just Ghanaians.
Okay.
We had people beyond Ghana who actually influenced the coup d'etat that we had. So it was not just a Ghanaian. So the vision that he had, they saw it was way beyond Ghana. He was looking at Africa coming together. And if Africa came together, it was going to impact their world negatively.
Yeah.
So that is it.
Okay, now let's come down to his legacy. Let's see the monuments, the buildings and the infrastructure that Kwame Nkrumah put together that modern Ghana is benefiting from. Well,
so you can look at education. He fashioned our education in such a way that we don't just... Now, if you look at the educational system in Ghana, it's a mess. We don't have critical thinkers in this country. Everything we do here is about go to university, finish, and then go and look for work.
Yeah.
But he was looking at the TVET system where we have hands-on education. Those who can do masonry, those who can build, those who can do chairs. Whatever God has given you, Kwame Nkrumah thought beyond it. So we had KNUST, we had Cape Coast University, that was mainly for education, teaching teachers to go out there and teach. We had University of Ghana. So, and then we have Ghana Secondary School. So all the educational infrastructures that he set up was set up in such a way that it would take care of the Ghana that he wanted to build. It was not about building an educational system where people are thinking of, when I finish school, I'm going to look for employment. Then you look at the road infrastructures, you look at the industrialization drive that he had. He had a whole city, Tema, built as an industrial hub.
Yeah.
You go to the northern region, you had the Bogatanga factory there also built to take care. You had a Suchare also built. So Kwame Nkrumah had a mind of building a Ghana that will be self-sufficient. And for me, if you also look at the just before we came in, your colleague was talking about the Temamoto Way.
Yeah.
Look at the road that we built after the Temamoto Way. We build roads, within 6 months, 1 year, the road is messed up again. Temamoto Way is several decades and we still have it. When we said we're going to do renovation on it, we all saw what happened. So Kwame Nkrumah looked at the educational system, he looked at the industrialization, he looked at even the Akosomo, the mindset that he had over several decades. We are still using Akosomo and we haven't done much to actually add electricity to the country that we have. So he had the whole country mapped up, but unfortunately, he couldn't finish the agenda that he had because he was overthrown.
Well, at some point, let me just take you back. During your presentation, you mentioned, while we're having the conversation, you mentioned that people felt that he was autocratic. Was he really autocratic? Because with everything you're saying, it looks like it was his own idea. I want to do this, let's do this. Was he allowing for inputs? What was it?
For me, I look at it this way. He was several years ahead of the people around him. And even now, some people are saying that we need a leader who will not just look at the democracy that has been handed over to us. Because if you look at the things that are going on around us, the filth, the indiscipline, all that we are experiencing in Ghana, look at Galamsey. Why can't anybody stop it? Why is it so difficult? So if you're a leader that says, no, this has to stop now, as long as somebody thinks that you are taking the food in his mouth or her mouth, then the person will label you as autocratic. But I don't see it that way. For me, we needed somebody like that, and we need somebody like Nkrumah who will say that, look, we cannot allow ourselves to behave this way. And obviously, people will label you as autocratic. I don't think so. I think at a point, he saw that people wanted to take his life. So he needed to also protect himself.
Okay.
So probably there were excesses which might not necessarily might have come from him. People around him who wanted to protect him were also doing certain things, but I don't really believe he was that autocratic that we have seen some leaders to be.
Right, so now we've mentioned a number of infrastructure that Nkrumah put in place that we're still enjoying. But clearly, do you think that if Nkrumah was still alive, looking at how Ghana has transformed, what we are looking like today, do you think he'll be happy about it?
He'll be very sad. Nkrumah will be very sad. You mentioned South Africa when they had independence later than us and us. You could see where the whites were. There were a lot of infrastructural improvement. And if you look at what Nkrumah had in mind, if you look at the design of Dansoman, you look at the design of Tema, you look at everything that he had in mind, I think we would have done far, far, far better. Malaysia, Singapore, they were all looking up to her. Look at Singapore, where Singapore is now.
Yeah.
So Nkrumah would be very sad, but if he's looking on Ghana now, he will be very, 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 very sad where we have progressed to.
Right, now you also mentioned the fact that he wanted to unite the entire Africa. What do you think Pan-Africanism meant to Kwame Nkrumah, practically?
It meant everything to him because he realized that if we are not united as a continent, don't forget Africa was not divided as we say it today. We were one people. And some people managed to divide us when they met in Berlin and decided that they were going to share Africa like a cake, and they shared it. So he realized that for us to be able to develop, if we develop by country within the continent, we will not be able to achieve what we wanted to achieve. So therefore, he sought to bring everybody together that, look, let's have one continent, one Africa, and Europe didn't even understand what he was doing then. Now Europe is one, and they are doing well. They come together and they can fight anything. So that is what he sought to do. And for me, that was perfect for us. We need, and gradually, some countries are beginning to see that, look, let's begin to come together. So for the past 3 years or so, you see a lot of countries making their countries visa-free for Africans so that we can begin to see ourselves as one people, travel within ourselves, and come together and build the continent.
Right, now let's still stay on his legacy, his vision for Ghana. What do you think, what amongst his vision for Ghana do you think that our current, presidents who have come on after him have stayed in line with, that even Nkrumah was alive? In fact, we've spoken about the things you'll be disappointed at. What do you think that he will still look at and be like, okay, this is the vision I had and my people are following? Is there anything of that sort?
I cannot think of anything. If you take education, our educational system is a mess. We don't know what we are doing now. Some schools are doing Oxford, some are doing Cambridge, some are doing hybrid. I don't know what that means. Some are doing GES. We are doing all sorts of things. Everybody is doing whatever suits them. If you go to the private schools, they are doing their own thing. If you come to industrialization, we had 1D, 1F. Now we are talking about 24-hour economy. Nobody really understands where we are going with that, what exactly that means. If you look at electricity, now we don't know. We fortunately, for the past few weeks, we've had constant electricity in our homes. So if you look at roads, where in this country, pick one region that you can say that we have good road infrastructures in this region. Within this greater Accra, we don't even have it. So I don't think any government or any president has been able to pick any of the sectors and say that, okay, we have done this the way Kwame Nkrumah wanted to do it. If you look at even our building, if you want to buy a land in this country, you have to pay like 2-3 times for one land. Would Nkrumah have allowed that? Now young people cannot even have their own homes. He was building homes. He was building communities for people to live there. Are we doing it? We have Asogwe, and it's still standing there. How many Kofor left there? And nobody is thinking about it. All the buildings that we have done over the years, they are all going waste. Why? Because we are not following the Nkrumah's agenda that he had for us.
Right, but what do you think that these leaders, okay, after Nkrumah, what do you think they have not paid attention to that's making us not being able to follow the his roadmap or the plan that he had for Ghana?
I think as a country, we have become more of what do we do to satisfy our political party and what do we do to help our country.
Our people.
So when a government comes to power, within that 4 years, we are thinking of how do we maintain power? How do we satisfy our individual political party members against what can we do to help everybody? So we need to go back and look at what is our national development plan. Do we have anything at all? We are not talking about political manifesto. So NDC, NPP, CPP will have their own manifesto, whether it fits into our national policy or not. We want to follow. We said when we come, we will do A, B, C, D because it is in our manifesto. So that is what we are going to do. So we have to look at NPP, NDC, all the political parties coming together to say that, look, this is what we want to do as a country. The next 50 years, this is where we are going. So whoever comes, whether you are NPP or NDC or CPP or whatever, when you come, this is a plan. So it is about how do you get to that plan? Come and tell us, come and tell the electorate that this is how I want to achieve this. Then if we believe what we are saying is correct and will help us, then we vote for you. It shouldn't be about your manifesto. It should be our national development plan.
Well, I'm glad that you touched on that because I was going to ask, Nkrumah had a road plan, but where exactly is that road plan? How do we know that this is it? I know he wrote a lot of books. So was there no document put in the seat of government so that whoever comes sees that, okay, this is what Osagyefo wanted the country to look like. This is what we're going to go through. Okay, so whoever comes continues. Because we realize that in this country, in the next 4 years, if NDC is no longer in power and NPP comes into power, they're also going to start off their own development. So whatever NDC did and left in the middle hangs. We've seen that happen a couple of times. You have read a lot about Nkrumah. Did he have anything of that sort? And does that even exist?
Michelle, there's a lot about Nkrumah that still exists in books. And even we have people around still alive who worked with him or who learned about him, who are still alive that we can actually follow it. So if we really want to do it, we can do it. Information is available, we can do it. But the thing is, we are not ready to pay the price to do what he wanted us to do. We just want to have power and satisfy ourselves as a people. That has been the challenge. Now, people are interested in what they will get as individuals rather than what they can do to help the country. We are not willing to sacrifice anything for the country. It is unfortunate now. We, the young people, have also picked it up. We are looking at what do I gain? So if I get employment anywhere, I'm looking at, hey, how do I build my house? How do I buy my car? How do I do this? It is not about how do I contribute. That has been the challenge. We have enough information to know what Nkrumah wanted to take Ghana to, but we are not ready to pay the price. So
are you saying there's a document that government can always have their hands on to know what exactly the vision was?
There is. There is. If you go to Kwame Nkrumah Mausoleum now, you can have all the information. In fact, if you Google Kwame Nkrumah plan for Ghana, for Africa, you would have enough information. They have it. They have it.
Okay, let's try this, guys. We're going to Google Kwame Nkrumah's plan for Ghana, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see if we're going to find it. Then we can chastise our leaders. Okay. But as I go on to find out if it's really on there, what do you think that, what characters did Kwame Nkrumah have or exude that you think our leaders could emulate that would have helped us move further than we are now?
Well, I think Kwame Nkrumah, one, understood his time. He also could anticipate what would happen in the next foreseeable future. So if you look at the Akosomo Dam that he built, he could see into the future that a time will come that we are going to have industrialization. And if we are going to have industrialization, then there's the need for us to have sustainable power to be able to industrialize. If you look at the educational system that he set up, also clearly shows you that he also knew that we could not industrialize without having the right manpower to do the job. If you look at the road infrastructures, if you look at the railway that he set up from all the way from the north, where we could use the railway to carry heavy goods. If you look at the road that he did, the Temamoto way that he did, the nature of the road, if you look at all the roads that he did, he had such a vision that he understood what was going to happen in the next 50 years or 100 years. And then you also look at his character as a person. I think he was he always read. He always learned from other people. He also always invited those who knew probably better than him to get. So he invited George Padmore, W.E.B. Du Bois, all those people who have certain mindset that he thought could help him to come around, and he learned from them. So he was somebody who could pick anybody from anywhere as long as he felt you could help his vision. So he allowed people who could shape his vision to also come close to him and learn from them. So he was willing to take from people who were better than him and people who also understood what he was doing. So that comes back to how do we then look at the winner takes all that we are experiencing in our country now? How do we get people who have something to help us to develop, to bring them on board? They might not be politicians, but in Ghana now, if you are not a politician, if you are not aligned to a particular party and they win power and they realize that, look, this position, this person can do it better. Let's get him. The party members will say, oh no, he doesn't have a party card, he didn't contribute, he didn't do this, they won't bring you. So that is one of the things that Nkrumah had that our leaders today don't have.
That's right. Now, about the document, well, I found a document on Google. So this is by Vincent Dodu. He says, Kwame Nkrumah's mission and vision for Africa and the world. I see that it has a detailed information about what Nkrumah was. But then what I am actually looking at, you know how you can pick a synopsis of a show or a synopsis of a product, and anybody who picks up knows that, okay, this is what you're doing. I am thinking if we had something of that sort at the seat of government, you know how we can keep books for decades. If we had a document like that a certain president would not need to necessarily go on to the internet or even go to Nkrumah's museum to find it. If we had such a thing, don't you think that it would be easier for our country to develop better than we have now? Because in that way, no political party has to come in and set on their own, their own policies or decide that, okay, this is where the other party took you. We are going this direction. If we had such a document, don't you think it would be easier for whoever comes in to now pick it, okay, where did this colleague of mine get to? Okay, so I am continuing from this side to that side, and then we move on.
Michelle, it is easy for us to get. They have it. They have it. All the political parties that have come after Nkrumah would have a document of that nature. The problem is before they even win election, they come and tell you that this is what I'm going to do. So when they win, they will say that, oh, we said we're going to do this. So that is what we are going to do.
Yeah.
And remember, we have CPP, still a political party. And then we have NPP, NDC, and all the other parties. So if we are going into elections, CPP is campaigning at the back of what Nkrumah did. Now NPP is also doing their own thing. NDC is doing their own thing. So if NPP or NDC says, okay, we are going to do what Nkrumah did, CPP say, oh, no, we are the Nkrumahs, we have to do this. So that is the challenge. That is why I said we need to sit down. We all need to come together and sit down. That, look, Nkrumah wanted to do A, B, C, D. As a country, we still think those things are relevant. Therefore, let us come together. Whether I win as NPP, as NDC, as CPP, we are going to go by this. So it doesn't become, oh, yeah, you don't believe in Nkrumah's idea. Why are you taking his ideas? It shouldn't be like that. It should be like, okay, Nkrumah wanted to do this. This is still relevant. Let's do it. He wanted to do this. This is not relevant now. So let's do something else. We have a national policy, a document that we all follow, irrespective of who comes to power. So your manifesto as a party becomes irrelevant. If it has to become relevant, then it might have come from all the things that all of us have sat down to draft. You pick something from it, and then you go with it.
Great. Now, on the lighter note, I mean, when my colleague Mame Watma was speaking with our correspondent, our Dome correspondent, she mentioned that Nkrumah's favorite color was pink. On the lighter note, we're wrapping up. What were some of the interesting things about Nkrumah that we do not know?
Well, I think one of the things that probably a lot of people didn't know his passion for sports in general. And then I also learned that he loved karate and taekwondo and that sort of sports. And then he also had a habit of almost every weekend going to a brewery to relax. So he was a busy man, but he also had a life that he could just move away from the busyness and go to a secluded area to just relax. And then your reporter was also talking about a river in Nkrumah where he was also a good swimmer.
Oh.
He was also a good swimmer. So he loved to also spend time swimming. And so he had an interesting life.
Yeah, and that's him, shaking hands with some Ghanaian footballers. That's beautiful. Well, at least now we know, if you didn't know, we now know that he was a man that loved sports and all of that. And I think that his legacy is worth celebrating every single year. We're going to keep celebrating Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah.